propaganda and sinister agendas for long employed against our motherland, Africa. Just like Martin Luther King Jr., a liberator, John Pombe Magufuli stands shoulder to shoulder as a five-star general of our time, a hero of our people, with his dream transcending Africa. Asante sana, Baba wetu, John Pombe Magufuli. And as I visited Chato, yes, I heard him speak to me, and he said, I have a dream from Cape to Cairo, that one day I'll see the total Magufulification of Africa and change. Yes, I have a dream that the sons and daughters of Africa would rise and break free from the shackles of neo-colonization. Indeed, I have a dream that my generation, the youth, will rise up with boldness and determination and courageously stand shoulder to shoulder with the sons of the other continents. I have a dream that my generation would rise and catch the mantles and spirits of great liberators of Africa long gone. Oh yes, I have a dream that the remaining generation will soldier forward in technology, modernization, and development of the modern Africa. And finally, I have a dream that the sons of Africa will all stand united with one love and one heart and work together to defeat the divide and rule strategies employed against our motherland Africa. Yes, I have a dream. Africa, Magufuli, and change. Asante sana. Zigo Mobambili. Thank you all. God bless you all. Mungu abariki Africa. Mungu abariki Tanzania. I thank you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Joshua Matewele. Thank you for encouraging the young people, and thank you for leaving a question to us, who will be the next. Ladies and gentlemen, we are moving into the next session. I would like to welcome the high table, that is our representative of the guest of honor, Professor Malango and Professor Mapunda, to just stand where you are, and we're going to launch the book. So Professor Mapunda will cut the book, and it will be a sign of us officiating launching the book. The three of you, then. We'd like to welcome the guest of honor to do the cutting. Sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the unveiling of Africa. Africa, Magufuli and Change, an integrated approach in abolishing Africans' modern economic slavery. Thank you so much. I would like to welcome Professor Mapunda to welcome our guest of honor for the speech.
Yeah, okay, the moment that we have been waiting for has arrived, and now we have the more serious speeches at words. And my task is to invite the guest of honor, and this is none other than the auxiliary bishop of the Archdiocese of Dar es Salaam, Bishop Stephen Musomba, who is representing the guest of honor. You are excellent, karibu.
Asante sana. Waheshimiwa sana maprofesa waliomo humu, madokta, na sisi sote mabibi na mabwana, habari za jioni. Kwa niaba ya Mwashambaba Askofu Mkuu Juta Deus Ruwaichi, Askofu Mkuu wa Jimbo Kuu la Dar es Salaam, ambaye ndiye alialikwa aweze kuwa mgeni rasmi katika shughuli hii, kwa kazi zingine basi alishindwa kufika hapa, na mimi namwakilisha. Kwa niaba yake niweze kuchukua nafasi hii kuweza kumpongeza sana Profesa Malango Chintenga, Director of Academic Affairs, Research and Publications, University of Hebron, Malawi, ambaye ndio mtunzi wa kitabu. Hongera sana kwa kazi nzuri. Congratulations. Sisi sote tuliohudhuria hapa, jambo muhimu tu kwamba tutambue hatupo katika jukwaa la kisiasa, ili mtu asije akawa na wivu wa kwake. Tuko kwenye academic formation. Kwa hiyo tunajifunza na tuna reform our minds. Na kwa sababu hiyo tutambue hilo, ili tusije tukachanganyikiwa tukafikiri tuko kwenye siasa. Pana. Ingawa siasa kwa maana halisi imegeuzwa, imechakachuliwa na kuwa kitu kingine, ndio maana tunaogopa kuchanganya. Maana ukisema kwamba siasa inachanganywa na uongo. Lakini hapa tunapoongelea academic issues, tunabase kwenye truth, kwenye reality. It's not a fiction, it's a reality. Kwa hiyo tuko pale. Kwa hiyo tunapomtaja Magufuli, alikuwa rais, alikuwa nini? We are talking about what happened, what he did, and what was the impact of what he did. Ndio tunachoangalia hicho. Na ndicho alichokifanya profesa. Profesa ameandika vizuri sana kitabu hiki, hasa anavyokwenda nacho, akitrace history ya Waafrika, na akiangalia walivyojeruhiwa. Maana kuna slave trade, Afrika colonialism, lakini ni majina yale yale, slave trade, colonialism. Lakini leo tunaongelea tena neo colonialism, ambayo inatutesa leo. Na ndio maana katika kitabu hiki anaongelea vizuri sana kwamba what is a true freedom. Si tu kwamba mimi naweza nikawa rais, lakini naweza kuwa rais ukawa kibaraka, ukawa rais wa kusikiliza, leo nikaseme nini, alafu uje useme tena, kesho urudi tena wakwambie nini. Then by so doing, then you are not free. Tunapoongelea freedom, tunaongelea kwanza integral human yote, yani mtu mzima. Na tunaongelea vile vile kwenye economics, uchumi, freedom katika uchumi ni muhimu sana. Na huu ndio unao tudidimiza sisi wa Afrika. Tunasema tuko maskini kwa sababu pengine hatujajitambua, na ndio maana watu wengine ukiongea nao inakuwa kama utani, lakini wanaoyaongea mpaka wewe mwenyewe unakasema huyu anafikiria, akili zake ziko sawa au amechanganyikiwa. Kwa mfano, kuna mmoja enzi hizo tulikuwa tunaongea tu, anakuambia heri nizaliwe Ulaya mbwa kuliko nizaliwe Afrika binadamu. Sasa maneno kama hayo. Na wakati mwingine mtu anayesema kwamba ameenda Ulaya anafikiri kwamba hela zinaokotwa. Kwa hiyo kuna mmoja aliona mwenzake ameenda Ulaya, akampigia simu akamwambia, naomba walau unitumie matrekta 300 tu. Walau matrekta 300. Hiyo ni walau, maana angeongeza zaidi. Lakini mtu huyo hajui, na ndio maana kwa kazi hii aliyoifanya profesa itatusaidia kufanya kitu tunachosema to reform our mind, to make what we call metanoia. Wagiriki wanapoongelea metanoia, ulikuwa unaenda huku, badili mwelekeo, nenda huku. Tusije tukaingia kwenye wanasema nini, petty minds ambazo zinatudanganya, na matokeo yake tunakuwa wabinafsi na hatuelewi tena kitu cha kufanya. Zaidi ya kujifungia, zaidi ukikosolewa unakasirika, na tunataka kusifiwa tu. Hatutaki kuongozana. Yaani kwamba hapa bwana wewe umekosea, kwa hiyo ufanye 1 2 3, tunakasirika. Na hiyo sio. Na ndio maana wakati nakisoma kitabu hiki ninasema sikiwe formation compendium. Kitusaidie mtu anaposoma, maana leo hii tumekifungua tunapokifungua ni kwa ajili ya kusoma. Unafungua kitabu hiki leo ni kwa ajili ya kusoma. Tutanunua kwa ajili ya kusoma, sio kwa ajili ya kuweka kwenye makabati. Na vile vile si kusoma tu, ni na kuweza kufanya evaluation, kinanisaidia nini kitabu hiki, na kimenipa mabadiliko gani katika maisha yangu kitabu hiki. Lakini nikisema tu nimesoma, amefanya kazi nzuri, nimesoma, naweka kule, haitasaidia chochote. Tutakuwa na vitabu 200 500, hayatatusaidia. Na kwa hiyo ni kusoma na vile vile kuapply yale ambayo yameandikwa humu, yatusaidie sisi kuishi vizuri. Tukiangalia bara letu la Afrika leo hii, wala ukienda tu popote pale, ndio maana naongelea kwamba kwenye economic freedom inaleta impact nyingi sana, na tena mbaya, kwa sababu tunakuwa ni tegemezi. Na kwa sababu tunaambiwa chochote, tunasema ndio baba. Saa hizi wewe uwe shoga, ndio baba. Saa hizi fundisha watoto wako wawe mashoga, ndio baba. Saa hizi wewe meza mavidonge ya uzazi wa mpango, ndio baba. Lakini yana effect gani katika maisha? Na ndio maana tunasema kwamba leo hii tunayoona moral degradations kwa sababu ya hiyo hatuna economic freedom. Economic freedom hapo. Ndio maana tunaona hapa watu wanavaa vimini, wanavaa nini, nguo za ajabu, tukisema kwamba tuko free. Lakini free tunasahau mila yetu, sisi ni Waafrika. Heshima kwa watu wazima hakuna tena. Lakini sasa kama hakuna heshima, kuna vyote hivi, yote haya yanatokeana na hiyo. Ndio maana mwingine akisimamia msimamo wake, wanasema hatutakupa pesa. Unaona? Na tutakupa pesa. Wanaona kwamba hiyo ndio silaha. Na hatutakupa pesa. Kuna jamaa mmoja anasema kwamba nilikuwa namsikiliza, anasema kwamba unaposafiri unaenda Ulaya, ni sawasawa unachukua kikombe unaanza kukamua unakamua linyama ile kubwa ya elephant unalikamua wewe, unaweza kukamua kweli wewe? alafu wanapokuja huku, yani anaandikiwa hapo, kama ni visa unapewa hapo. Na sisi wakati mwingine, hata sisi wa Afrika kwa Afrika, sema ngoja niende labda nchi fulani, na sisi tunaanza kuchukua msimamo ule wa Ulaya, wapi tunaweka pale. Na matokeo yake tuangalia hata vile vile sisi katika mfumo wetu wa maisha hatupo kama kule. Mfumo wetu wa maisha ni mfumo shirikishi, ambapo tunaongea, na tunapoongea katika kuongea huko na kushirikishana ni uponyaji, is healing. Lakini kule kujifungia kunatengeneza tunachosema kwamba ni psychological problems. Tunapata psychologists wengi ambao wana be employed kwa ajili ya kututibu, na tunakoelekea ndio huko, kwa sababu ya tunasema tuko katika modern world, tunasahau tulivyo sisi. Na kwa sababu hiyo kitabu hiki kitusaidie sisi kwa ajili ya kureform our minds, ni kwa ajili ya self awareness. Na ili tuweze kufanya hivi tunahitaji sana kuwa wanyenyekevu. Mnyenyekevu sio yule anayepiga magoti mbele ya mwenzake. Mnyenyekevu ndio yule anaye niweze kuwa mwema, kuliko tuwe na magonjwa ya akili ambayo yamekuja mengi sana. Tunasema afya ya akili ni hiyo. Ndio maana kwa mfano unasema kwamba wewe unatembea huko ovyo ovyo tu, alafu watu wanakucheka, ndio unafurahi wakikucheka. Unahitaji kwenda hospitali, unaumwa, una ugonjwa wa akili, unahitaji tiba. Kwa hiyo ndio maana nasema kwamba turudi tena kwenye roots zetu, tuangalie tulikotoka, tuangalie tulipo, ushirikiano wetu kwa pamoja tunaweza, na ushirikiano utatufanya tuweze kufanya vizuri. Na elimu tunayoipata tunajua kwamba nayo imeathiriwa. Ndio maana leo hii tunaogopa kwenda kukaa kwenye kiti kusoma hivi. Tunataka tufanyiwe. Wewe pata picha, wewe ni daktari, unasomea, unafanyiwa kila kitu. Utafanya operation kwa mtu tunaua. Badala ya kuoperate kichwa na operate miguu. Yote haya ni effect ya kusema kwamba sasa elimu yetu tunataka tuitwe doctor, lakini hatujafanyia kazi. Tunataka tuitwe professor, hatujafanyia kazi. Usiwe tu wamemtunukia ndio tunachotaka hicho. Hakitatusaidia katika maisha yetu. Kwa hiyo ndio maana tunapoona kitu kama hiki, kiwe mfano sasa, kitusaidie sisi kwenda ndani zaidi, kuangalia elimu yetu, malezi yetu, ili kwa Afrika sisi ni wafanya kazi, ni wachapa kazi Lakini leo hii tunapenda kulelewa. Matokeo yake ya kulelewa hayo, tunataka yani watupe pesa. Yule anayetupa pesa naona kama ndio rafiki. Kumbe tunakuwa watumwa bado. Na ndio maana hata ndoa zetu hazidumu. Vijana wengi wanataka kulelewa, wanaolewa na mwanamke ambaye ana pesa. Mwanamke anatafuta pesa. Tunaogopa kazi saa hizi. Tumepata wapi hayo yote? Mbona si ya kwetu? Sasa mambo yetu haya. Sasa tunayapata wapi haya? Kwa hiyo tunahitaji sasa kukaa chini kuangalia yote hayo. Kwa hiyo malezi yetu, tuangalie mila yetu ambayo ni muhimu sana. Leo hii tunaongelea mambo ya mmomonyoko wa maadili. Waafrika kwa asili ni wapenda uhai. Lakini sasa propaganda za nje zimetujia hapa kwa sababu tuna pesa tunapewa hata pesa kutoa mimba. Kuna utoaji wa mimba mwingi. Sasa ameokotwa mtoto pale, ameokotwa sio nini, hatutaki tena watoto. Leo tutataka atakuzaa sisi siku hizi. Kwa nini sasa? Ni kwa sababu ya hiyo trend. Yaani wakiniona mimi hata wakati fulani nataka kubadilisha hata ngozi. Nilikuwa mweusi nataka niwe mweupe. Na wakati fulani ukimeza hivyo vidonge alafu kasimama unakuwa kama sanamu. So yani kama kuweke kwenye museum mule. Yaani wewe umemeza kile kidonge chako kimekuchubua kiasi kwamba ukiangalia mishipa ya damu ile inaonekana imesimama hivi. tunajidhalilisha sana kwa sababu ya mambo ambayo ni ya kuiga nje. Kwa hiyo tunapoongelea mambo ya African independence katika mambo ya uchumi, kama tunavyosoma katika kitabu hiki, tuongelee sasa haya yote yanaingia hapo: mila, yanaongelea mambo ya elimu, yanaongelea mambo ya malezi yetu, yanaongelea lifestyle yetu. Tuweze kurudi nyuma kuangalia kwamba tunakoelekea sio. Turudi tuweze kufanya inavyotakiwa. Kwa hiyo kwa niaba ya mgeni rasmi, Mhashamu Baba Askofu Mkuu, niko na maneno machache tu hayo, na zaidi kumpongeza sana Profesa Malango. Ningekuwa nafahamu kilugha chenu kule ningesema. Kuna hicho kichewa bwana, wanaongea kichewa hicho. Hiyo kwa mbili. Asante sana. Mungu akubariki, akuongoze katika kazi yako, na uendelee kuandika tena hatua nyingine. Mtu wa nje ameweza kuona hiyo hazina. Sisi wa ndani pengine tuone hazina kwa sababu ya dharau yetu. Wakati fulani ya kudharauliana hatuoni za hazina hii. Hazina iliyofichika, mtu wa nje ameiweza kuipata na ameifukua. Basi tuweze kuchukua njia hiyo na kuweza kuelewa na kuweza kufanya inavyotakiwa. Asanteni sana kwa kunisikiliza.
Another round of applause for our guest of honor. Thank you so much, Your Lordship, Stephen Msomba, for the message. Truly, he gave us, he was just giving us the backbone of this. When we talk about economic slavery, it's not, what we are seeing today, it's just the backbone of it, or rather where it all comes from is from the economic slavery part. It has driven us to be really slaves in a way, and slavery is not just about how we learned in the history, but now even the life that we live today. So for us to be independent and for us to focus on ourselves is to believe in ourselves, and that's what the former president said. We can. So everyone in our own capacity, we can. We don't have to be very dependent. So as we read, and just to echo what the guest of honor said, it's not about launching the book, but how will the book help each and every one of us in our own capacity to pick up something and be able to use it in our own lifestyle and be able to bring change that our fallen hero wanted us to have. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like again to welcome Professor Mapunda, who will in turn welcome our author to give a speech.
Thank you once again, MC. The guest of honor, now I have the pleasure to welcome Professor Malango to the podium. But before I do that, as a scholar, I have a few words of admiration that I need to utter. Professor Malango, it is not only the content of your book that makes some of us who are in the profession of academia admire you, but the effort that you put into it. We are aware of the kind of labor that goes into writing. There are people who completed PhD maybe in 1960, and they have remained so to the present, not publishing a single article to enable them move even from lectureship to senior lectureship, leave alone professorship. So I wanted to submit my appreciation of your scholarliness in this aspect as being able to write a book which one of the readers has correctly said is actually fact-based and research-based, and not just statements as some people would like to put sometimes. This is research-based, and you say yourself in the book that you have spent 5-6 years collecting information, and so that is not easy. And people in academia fail to do this. And as I said at the beginning, the reason why South, as a university, decided to make this an important event, you had a launch in Mwanza and a second one here in Dar es Salaam. One of the encouragement that we have, not only of the content about slavery, economic slavery, that the youth should take it and live it, but also for the young academics to know that to become a professor, as the guest of honor was saying, is not just a matter of claiming that I want to be a professor. No, we want you to prove that you are. And indeed, you have proven to us that indeed, University of Hebron didn't make a mistake to make you a professor. And now I have the honor to invite you to come and tell us. Thank you.
Habari ya Johnny. It's like that. Habari ya jioni. Asante sana. I may not challenge you to continue. I'm still a toddler in learning Kiswahili, but I do believe that in 3 months' time, I'll be as much competent as you. I think I'll be as much eloquent as you. Yeah, that's the present mission. Our guest of honor, Your Lordship, Stephen Musomba, the Auxiliary Bishop, our principal, Professor Mapunda, our VC for South, Professor Costa Rica Mahalu, Mr. Sabato Nyamsenda from the University of Dar es Salaam, representing the School of Political Science and Public Administration, Mr. Matthews Kabadi, our renowned writer, who was with us in Mwanza, and so glad to also see him here. Professor Matambaria, the friend of Saudi. Yeah, thank you so much. Invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you for the had remarkable. You of course go into my diary as one of the greatest events that I've ever recorded. The guest of honor, allow me in a special way to thank Professor Costa Rica Mamalu and his South team for a commendable job that has been done. Brother Jamseda said he prayed the best tricks to make sure that he hijacks this event. He competently did it, and we appreciate Professor Maharu's law and the team for being such versatile. And at the same time, we'd like to thank the University of Dar es Salaam for the support that you have shown throughout this project, especially towards this launch. Mr. Nyasenda was correct and completely right when he was mentioning it that we've been in touch again and again. We've been in touch through whichever means, phone calls, text, name them and call them. All in all, the support has been massive. If I'm to mention one by one, time may not allow us. But I should accept the fact and acknowledge it that the Tanzanians have actually shown that you are brothers, you are our real brothers. Coming to this side is because your brotherly act that you have shown. In absentia, allow me to thank Madam Magufuli for the massive support that she has also put, especially the moral support. Yesterday I received a call for a visitation whereby I had to go to her residence. It was extremely awesome. Of course, maybe I don't have to preempt. I'm going to push it at some point as I'm moving on. But at this point in time, I just want to acknowledge her support in the process. The guest of honor, it is always hard, especially to come and talk when the best speakers have done their role. And more specifically, when you are even shorter, you have to make sure that you make your voice taller at some point. My colleagues for splendid presentations, eloquent presentations. When I was coming, I was debating in between making a presentation and then just a mayor speech, or else just a mayor talk. Until when I was leaving my seat, coming to this place, I said, okay, let me just get on the podium. We'll see what it's going to be like. It's always an expectation from the audience. They'd like to hear what the author is going to say. And the author is always at the happiest moment to have the occasion, the event done. So to have the audience expectations and then the author's expectations meeting is one of the greatest challenge. But one thing that I'd like to assure you is that I am the happiest. In most cases, we tend maybe to stammer just because we have that exceeding joy, which we can't, maybe express it through the word of mouth. However, the greatest challenge for the audience is that they would like to hear more about the author. What is it? Well, what inspired? What made the author to come up with a publication? So the guest of honor, my speech will be divided into two parts. The first one, I'm going to talk about the technical aspect of the book, the publication itself. The book project was started in 2017. So in 2017, that's when I started the book project, and it got completed in 2023. So basically, it has taken me about 6 years to complete the book. We corrected data using various means. For example, we used desk research to correct the data. We used observation, and we also used interviews to correct data. So somewhere around 2019, 2020, I had to visit Tanzania several times just to make sure that I correct the data. I remember visiting Zanzibar for some weeks just to make sure that I have actionable data, and visiting Dar es Salaam for some weeks as well, just to make sure that the data is accurate. I also had to visit various countries apart from Tanzania, to correct data. Yeah, for example, I had to visit Zambia, Zimbabwe, Kenya, RSA. I had to visit India, I had to visit Qatar, I had to visit United Arab Emirates, just to make sure that the strategies we are presenting are well-rounded and also well-benchmarked with the other economies as well. The guest of honor, in terms of referencing, the book has used the Harvard referencing system, and it has 252 in-text referenced citations, and the book has acknowledged 50 websites. The preliminary part, the reference section and the main chapters are adding up to 500 pages. Initially, we produced the book in a way that it gave us 800 pages. Then when we came up with the 800-page layout, somebody intimidated us. Hey, Prof, you're coming up with a publication that has 800 pages. Who do you think is going to read your 800 document? You're going to read by yourself. And then I said, okay, fine. Then we're going to play some mathematics. So what we did was to increase the size of the book so that the pages are fewer. Right? Yeah, for those that are in, let's say, in the medical area, or those that are clinicians, they understand what they call the placebo effect. Yeah, the placebo effect is a kind of a thing whereby you say, no, doctor, I don't get along with tablets, I prefer injections. So they're going to change it in one way or another, but the same medication, right? And then when they inject you, they say, now if you must feel better, isn't it? Yes, I'm feeling better. But the same, generic drug, right? Yeah, the placebo effect. So this time around, we have 500 pages so that at least it's not intimidating. Just the way you can look at it is somehow portable. But that time it was something else. So this time around, you can easily digest it at some point just because we increased the book size. The book has 5 parts, 5 components. And as a matter of fact, it has 48 chapters. Out of the 48 chapters, 13 chapters have put Magufuli in context. 13 chapters have put Magufuli in context. So the first part of the book is called The Footprints of Slavery, which as correctly as the Lordship has put it, we need to learn from the past, because the past, that's where we learn from, and the present is here for us to manage, and the future is there for us to create it. So the past is very critical. So we are taking Africa from the time of slavery. So we are actually seeing the footprints of slavery. For that part, the author had to visit several sites. Yeah, for example, Emina Castle in Ghana, just to appreciate what the atrocities of slavery were like. And in 2019, the author had to come to Zanzibar, and he actually got into the underground chambers for some time, just to test how the slaves were feeling. It was a very awkward situation, a very awkward experience. It is very hard for you to go to Zanzibar, especially in the underground slave chamber, and then you come out without shedding tears. It's very hard. It's very difficult for you to come out of the chamber and then you move on. You quickly go for ugali. It's very difficult. Why? Because of the situation in the slave chambers. Yeah, so let's say on this part, the author has come up with some chapters. Chapters like chapter 1, show me the Elmina Castle, not the Windsor Castle. Show me the Elmina Castle, not the Windsor Castle. I think it's very soon that we actually saw our heads of state flying to, let's say, Europe to bury the Queen, isn't it? Right? Yeah, fine. So anyway, in Europe, that's why we have, the Windsor Castle in England, right? But the author saying, I don't want to go to Windsor Castle. Show me the Elmina Castle, because that's where I'm going to see the atrocities that our fathers and like mothers were facing, our sons and brothers were facing. And from there, that's where we start questioning the answers that the Western has given us. The chapters could continue from chapter 1 went to chapter 2, which is teardrops in Zanzibar, because in Zanzibar had to go to the underground chamber, crying because of the atrocities that I could experience. In chapter 4, it's talking about freed but caged. Freed but caged. Neocolonialism. After slavery, they let us, free at some point, but they tied us to a chain so that we are still, caged. So we are still caged even until now. And chapter 5, Lincoln yet to rest in peace. Abraham Lincoln is not sleeping in peace just because his wish is still not made at some point. So we have part 2, which is talking about Africa, a panoramic view of the key challenges. Africa, a panoramic view of the key challenges. So let's talk about rest in peace, Guinea Koita. It's a sad story if you actually go through it. And we have chapter, let's say, 7, development crisis in Africa. Chapter 8, rich Africa and poor Africans. Then chapter 9, tribalism and nepotism, the killer dragons of development in Africa. Amongst the countries that I've actually traveled, I've seen that tribalism is something that is stagnating the development of Africa. You go to Zambia, the case is the same. You go to Nigeria, the song is the same. You go to Malawi, the song is the same. You come this side, you also find tribalism in, some dimensions. So tribalism, a killer, dragon. And then chapter 10, the donor dependency, a killer insulin for Africa's diabetic economic condition. In chapter 11, Socrates, others pronounce it as Socrates. Yeah, Socrates proven right in Africa. This is the time, or this is a chapter whereby the author has put a lot of arguments as of, the effectiveness of our democracy in Africa. The author has actually argued the quality of the vote, right? Whilst, we look at the content of the vote, but the quality of the vote matters more. So the author has actually, argued that, come on, we need to take a look at this. It's not just about, how many have voted, but we also look at what's the quality of the vote. it doesn't matter, it doesn't make any sense to count a vote from somebody else who doesn't even know how to write, who doesn't even know what the manifesto is about. Maybe it doesn't make any sense at some point. So we need to take a look at that. Yeah, and then we have part 3, which is talking about, which is putting Magufuli in context. Magufuli, a practical model for economic and leadership excellency. So this part has brought some very good chapters in context. For example, chapter 12, a shining star in the darkness of neo-colonialism. Chapter 13, Heineken in Parliament. Heineken in Parliament. Chapter 13, Heineken in Parliament. Chapter 14, a tete-a-tete with Kenyatta. Chapter 15, missing in Manhattan. Chapter 16, Magufuli's business prowess. 17, thriving bureaucracy. Then 18, Magufuli's tears on corruption. 19, the economic development superstar. Chapter 20, the common good gravitas. Chapter 21, the immortal Magufuli. And then part 4, the book has articulated the change that Africa needs. So on this part, the author is also trying to be practical, bringing a funky topic like chapter 22, take me to the Mosi Watunya, not the Burj Khalifa. Take me to the Mosi Watunya, not the Burj Khalifa. Whilst correcting data, I had to go to the Burj Khalifa, which is the United Arab Emirates. So the author was very delighted, was very interested, felt just so good to actually see the tallest building in the world. So he was very happy to say, wow, I've seen the tallest building in the world. I'm so happy, I've been to the tallest building in the world, the Burj Khalifa. Some few months later, I went to the Victoria Falls. And then whilst at the Victoria Falls, I saw the most amazing message that I've ever seen. It was actually on the statue of Dr. David Livingstone. It was written, this is the most beautiful place that I've ever seen in England. Much more beautiful that even angels would stop for a minute and gaze. And then I said, wow, come on. We thought that the most beautiful place is the Burj Khalifa. But now look what David Livingstone is saying. The most beautiful place is the Mosi Watunya. Then I said, come on, let me call this chapter. Take me to the Mosi Watunya, not the Burj Khalifa. Paul Kagame said, we don't need to go out to find African solutions. The African solutions are here. So many times I've actually, gone out of the country. Gone out of Africa, thinking that African solutions will actually come there. But this chapter, we are saying that the solutions are right here. So the author has tried to put that into context. Chapter 23, the author has argued with a lot of energy, the Magufulification of Africa, total systems overhaul for development. The author presented a case whereby he's arguing that the problem of Africa is lack of systems, because Africa is still operating using the colonial systems. We are still operating using the colonial system. So we have some serious problems. So this has something to do with our education, something to do with our operational systems, let's say the public sector, systems. Yeah, so our systems are extremely ancient, so we need to overhaul them. So the slave masters have left, but the systems are the same. So these are the systems that are tying us. So the Magufulification of Africa is demanding a lot. So because of lack of systems, that's why we always cry that, wow, that former president is gone. So who will be next? We get worried because we don't have, the systems. If the systems are solid, you don't worry so much, because the systems are the ones which are in control the systems. So we need to overhaul the systems, because some of the systems that we're using right now, they were actually designated to benefit the colonizer. We have chapter 24, which is governance re-engineering. And then we have chapter 25, rebranding Africa's universities for global competitiveness. Rebranding Africa's universities for global competitiveness. the author has actually put in context Oxford University, the likes of Professor Pollard, who took advantage of the COVID pandemic, and they actually showcased that we are a university. This is what a university is supposed to do. Whilst Africa's universities, we are sleeping. They didn't even think of, coming up with a vaccine. That is even of maybe a 5% efficacy, just to show up that we've been there or we are there. So, replanting Africa's universities. There are so many things that we need to do just to make sure that we are also on the page. Yeah, 26, the Bismarck's idealism. 27, Wangchuking Africa. 28, leadership Sankaraism. The authors put Sankara in context because during the Magufuli studies, we have seen that Sankara and Magufuli had some common traits. So we have put them in context. Chapter 30, demolishing the political chameleons. Chapter 33, speeding for Africa's development. We have put the slave trade in context. Whilst we are busy with the being slave traded, our flames were developing in so many, ways. So we need to speed up for development. The final part, which is creating a new Africa, has suggested the strategies that Africa has to do. In one of the areas, one of the chapters which is called is cracking the black box, cracking the black box. As you're going through the book, you're going to enjoy it and then see what it is demanded. The black box, the black box. This is the information that the governments, the politicians are trying to protect so that you don't access the black box, the information, the public information that you deserve to know. And this is the breeding ground for corruption because you don't know the black box. So the politicians will kind of, put in their, let's say, campaigns. We are going to have the access to information bill operationalized. Now, the moment they get in power, they stay quiet. Why? Because they know that the moment the citizens have access to the information, that is the time that corruption is going to end completely. And this is why Bacon said at one point, knowledge is power. He didn't mean like having a PhD or professorship, but he simply meant being able to access the information that you know. The guest of honor, one of the questions which I got when I was writing the book was that, what is it that has motivated you to write this book? What is it that has motivated you to write this book? And then I said, a song. A song is what motivated me to write this book. I would like to just take 30 seconds of your minute, or of your time, so that you listen to the song that made me to think of writing this book. Just a second of your time, 30 seconds of your time. So Soshangana Ezulini, Soshangana Ezulini, Soshangana Ezulini. That was a cry of the sons and daughters in the slave chambers of Emina Castle. And they were singing that song, Senzenina, what have we done to deserve this torture? What have we done to deserve this torture? And then the most touching sight was the moment when they were saying, we shall meet in heaven, Soshangana Ezulini. That was the time when they were saying bye. They were passing what is called, or what was called, the door of no return. That was the point when a slave was called, John. So John had to rise up, knowing that this is the last time for me to see my friends. I'll never see them anymore because I'm now taking a trickless journey to the plantations of America. So he had to wave, guy, bye-bye. Bye-bye, we'll never meet again. We shall meet in heaven if possible. That was the message, that was the song by the slave, by this former slaves some years way back. Now, in 1863, Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, a declaration which was made to set the slave free. The guest of honor is now about 160 years that has erupted, or that have erupted since the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation. However, 160 years later, the Africans are still not free. The Africans are still economic slaves. 160 years later, Africans are still having very poor roads. Africans are still having no access to potable water. 160 years later, Africans are still living in misery. 160 years later, the corruption fiesta is still the tradition of politicians and technocrats in African governments. And 160 years later, the common man, the common person, has been deprived of his or her amenities. 160 years later, a common African is still not free. This is what made me to come up with a book called Africa, Magufuli and Change, so that by communicating, by imparting what is in the book, we can have a sense of direction that we should take in order to be so free. The other question which I got when I was writing the book was that, why have you chosen Magufuli? Why have you chosen Magufuli? Out of all the presidents in Africa, why is it that you have chosen Magufuli? And out of all the presidents in Tanzania, why is it that you have chosen Magufuli? The guest of honor, to answer this question, I would like to ask you to be with me in this journey. And then let's go to Chato. So as we are going to Chato, let's interact with the people. And by, let us hear what they are actually saying. And many of them, they are communicating that Magufuli was our hero. Magufuli was so caring. Magufuli was somebody else whom we could say sent from God. I was privileged to visit Magufuli's Chato Mausoleum. When I got into the mausoleum, I was touched. And as I was standing, while I was facing the head of his tomb, I wish I had the powers to resurrect people. The guest of honor, I wish I was a Jesus Christ, or the Jesus Christ, so that I could shout, John, arise and show the people how it is possible to face corruption dauntlessly so that the common people benefit. I would say, John, rise up and show African leaders how you made it to stay in your tenure without visiting Europe and America. John, rise up. Show us how you bulldoze development in Tanzania. John, rise up. I really desired having the power to resurrect, but I really lamented having none. The guest of honor, we are in a situation whereby we want to change. Everybody would like to see Africa changing. So many authors have written about books that can drive Africa into economic revelation. But we lack the power to implement what we have written. I would have liked John to rise up so that he should receive his flowers by himself. Flowers from Chato, flowers from Sengerema, flowers from Geita, flowers from Manyala, flowers from Dar es Salaam, flowers from Zanzibar. But I had to accept a reality that death has re-robbed us, the one who was determined to put Tanzania and Africa in the right direction. I know some of you might be much more interested still to say, come on, you are a Malawian, but how come that you are still much more interested with Magufuli? Now let me reveal the secret to you. When we saw Magufuli, we actually saw a bulldozer whom we knew that is going to put our leaders under pressure. Pressure that, look, your friend in Tanzania is performing, so you have to do likewise. So we know that he's a very good president. And when he died, we even wept more because we knew that our president has been lost. The book is finishing with In Search of a New Magufuli. We acknowledge a fact that Magufuli has passed on. And it is very unlikely that we can have him now because he's in Chato. But we can emulate whatever, he did. This book has put, or has named Magufuli, or has called Magufuli different names in various chapters. And those are the attributes, those are the qualities that we are looking for. And the new Magufulis have to be us. The new Magufulis have to be our leaders at that very top level. We need to be the new Magufulis. So the book has actually called Magufuli in various, has given Magufuli various names. For example, chapter 12 is calling Magufuli a star, a shining star in the darkness of neocolonialism. And chapter 13 is calling Magufuli as the no-nonsense deontologist. Chapter 14 is calling Magufuli as an intelligent listener. Chapter 15 is calling Magufuli a true patriot. Chapter 16 is calling Magufuli a business genius. Chapter 17 is calling Magufuli a challenger of bureaucracies. In chapter 18 is calling Magufuli a scorpion to the corrupt. Magufuli challenged the Tanzanians. I want you Tanzanians to believe that you have a president, a real rock. I cannot be threatened, and I am not threatened. Of course, he was a real rock. Of course, I may call him East Africa's Rock of Ages. In chapter 19, he's the economic development superstar. In chapter 20, he's the common good magician. In chapter 22, he is the immortal. Magufuli was buried in Chato, but he's still living in our hearts. And in this occasion, we feel his presence. In chapter 23, he's the socio-economic change that Africa needs. In chapter 35, he's the bulldozer. In chapter 48, he's the darling of the poor. I would have gone on and on, but for the interest of our time, the guest of honor, allow me to allocate the time, or allow me to submit my time to the Master of Ceremonies so that we proceed with the other arrangements. But I do believe that through this book, we are going to have the best inputs, and through implementation, we'll at least at some point discover some amazing transformation in our societies. And by holding this, let me wish Magufuli rest in peace. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Prof. Thank you, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, let us give him another round of applause. I would like to recognize the presence of Professor Lawrence Museru, former Director General of Muhimbili National Hospital, in attendance. Thank you so much, Prof. Thank you. Now, I would like to let you know, guys, people are already buying the book. This book is really, I mean, outside here, you know, we are inside, but outside people are buying the book, and you can really see how it's not, as what I said, it's not just the book, but the message. Everyone wants to grab that message, and let us not be left behind. We have a session of auctioning the book. Could you kindly, Prof, lead us through the process? Or if you have a particular style of how you want us to go about it.
Thank you very much, the Master of Ceremony, for giving me this rare opportunity to read in the auctioning of the book. We are privileged, especially the Dar es Salaam side, to have the book that will be co-signed. Madam Magufuli has signed the 15 books which will be auctioned. The first 15 books which will be auctioned, Madam Magufuli has signed, so the co-author is going to co-sign as you are buying. And at the same time, with me is the pen, which was amongst the memorabilia of Gen Pombe Magufuli, and Madam Janet Magufuli gave the author this pen so that he should use for autographing the books. So as we are autographing the books this evening, know that we are using a pen which at some point Pombe was using. At this point in time, I will invite the MC who read the auctioning.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are privileged that those of us who are going to buy the book, kitasainiwa na kalamu aliyokuwa anatumia hayati. So sio tu, it's a special thing that you're going to bring home. Sasa tungeanza zoezi la auctioning, and I don't know how we go about it, but it's always who is the highest bidder. So you're free to stand and bid at a price, but the minimum price ni 120,000, 120,000 Tanzanian shillings. That's the minimum price. So, karibuni, welcome. Some of the books have been signed by Mama Janet Magufuli. So, karibuni, you're welcome. You're welcome. Prof.
150.
150 for Ambassador Professor Mahalu. 160 for Professor, our friend of South. 160. 160. Hapo nyuma sijakusahau. Karibu. Yes, Prof.
170.
170 for Professor Mahalu. Yamani, don't take the word Professor Mahalu. It's 170. Kuna mwingine atasema siwezi kuwa juu ya professor. Karibu. 175 for Professor Mapunda.
175, that is.
Yeah, 175. 175,000. Yes, Prof. 180 for Professor Mahalu.
180, ladies and gentlemen, 180.
Yeah.
Can someone beat that one? We're waiting for a challenger. We're waiting for a challenger. Someone?
Anyone to challenge Professor?
In honor of our president, John Magufuli, can we take it higher? Can we raise it higher?
Okay. If not, then we hand the book to Professor.
Yes.
Yeah?
Professor, congratulations. Please stand and go to the podium so that it can be co-signed by our professor as well. Congratulations. Please go to the front. Let's give him another round of applause. Another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
He's getting his book, very beautiful
120.
gift back. Just to honor that, can we just put our hands together?
Thank you so much.
And I'm sure media team is capturing the beautiful photos from all angles. Thank you so much, Professor.
Thank you, Prof. Because of time, the book that we have the books here with us, and they will be available outside. The price is 120,000. After the event, feel free to ask. Now, because of time, I would like to welcome our director of St. Augustine University Dar es Salaam Center, that is Dr. Bogo. to come and take over. Welcome.
A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause. Makofi.
Thank you very much, dear guest of honor and ladies and gentlemen, protocol observed. As she said, our MC, because of time, my work here I think should be very simple and very brief, just to give a word of thanks. And before I give a word of thanks, I would like to invite one of our publishers from Mkuki, is it Mkuki na Nyota? TPH, okay, TPH, to tell us briefly, where if someone wants to buy this book, where will it be available from I think from your bookshops? Very briefly. If someone will not be able to buy it from outside here, and they'll buy it, maybe wants to buy it, sometimes later, like maybe tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, next week, where will this book be available? Please tell us briefly.
Mheshimiwa Mwasham Stefano Msomba, askofu msaidizi wa jimbo kuu la Dar es Salaam, Profesa Betam Mapunda, principal wa Jordan University, Profesa Malango Chithenga, University of Harvard Malawi, ambaye ndio mwandishi wa kitabu. Meza kuu, mabibi na mabwana, itifaki imezingatiwa. Habari za jioni. Kwanza tunamshukuru Mwenyezi Mungu kwa kutujalia uzima na afya, kutuwezesha wote kukutana jioni ya leo. Kwa majina naitwa Lilian Christian, mkuu wa kitengo cha mauzo na masoko katika kampuni ya TPH Bookshop inayohusika na usambazaji wa vitabu vya aina mbalimbali kuanzia watoto, watu wazima pamoja na wanataaluma mbalimbali. Kuna usemi usemao kwamba great readers make a great leaders. Ninaamini kwamba hayati Rais John Pombe Magufuli alikuwa msomaji mzuri wa vitabu, taarifa na nyaraka mbalimbali, na ndiyo maana leo tuko hapa kumkumbuka. Binafsi nina kumbukumbu ya kukutana naye hayati Mheshimiwa Rais Magufuli kwa mara ya kwanza alipotembelea duka letu na kununua vitabu mara baada ya uzinduzi wa kitabu cha hayati Rais Benjamin William Mkapa uliofanyika hapa JNCC mwaka 2019. Kwa bahati mbaya, hayati Rais Magufuli hakuweza kuandika kitabu chake mwenyewe na kutuelezea siri ya ujasiri wake wa kufanya maamuzi, safari yake ya siasa, maisha na mapenzi yake kwa nchi yetu. Hivyo tunamshukuru sana mwandishi Profesa Malango Chithenga kwa kazi yake nzuri kubwa ya kufanya utafiti, kuandika na kuhariri kitabu hiki ambacho tunakiona leo. Kwa niaba ya kampuni ya TPH Bookshop, napenda kuarifu kuwa tumeanza kuuza rasmi nakala za kitabu hiki cha Africa Magufuli and Change kwa bei ya shilingi 175, na leo hapa ukumbini tutakiuza kwa bei ya shilingi 150,000 mahususi kwa ajili ya uzinduzi. Bei hii ni kwa vitabu vitakavyonunuliwa hapa ukumbini tu. Hivyo wanawahamasisha nyote mlio hapa mjipatie nakala zenu pamoja na marafiki ambao hawakuweza kufika, kwani tumejipanga, tunapokea aina zote za miamala, yani card, cash na simu. Kitabu kitaendelea kupatikana katika maduka yetu yote yaliyopo Dar es Salaam, Dodoma na kitasambazwa pia nchi jirani za Kenya, Uganda. Pia tutasambaza kwa maduka yote kwa bei ya jumla, hivyo maduka mengine karibuni. Kwa kuhitimisha, napenda kuwakumbusha kwamba maarifa ni chakula cha akili. Maarifa yanapatikana kwa kusoma. Tuendelee kulisha akili zetu ili tuweze kuwa viongozi na wananchi bora wenye faida kwa taifa letu. Asanteni sana kwa kunisikiliza. Karibuni kwenye meza yetu ya vitabu hapa ukumbini nje, na karibu pia katika duka letu TPH Bookshop linalopatikana Posta, mtaa wa Samora, mkabala na Salamanda Tower. Karibuni. Asante.
Thank you very much, Madam, from the TPH. This is Tanzania Publishing House. Okay, thank you very much. Now we have two prices. The first one was 120,000. Now we have had another price, 150. So we go by which one? 150. Okay? 150.
That 120 was not the price, was the starting price for the bidding.
Okay, that was for the bidding. But the selling price is 150. Okay, 150,000. So let me go to my task. I was given a task of giving a vote of thanks. Before I give a vote of thanks, I would like to make sure that you get the message that I came up here to the stage to make it clear to you purposely. I'm the director of the St. Augustine University of Tanzania, especially Sauti Dar Center, and then this is our banner, and then we have some special programs for the PhD and for the master's program. I thought I should make this very clear from the very beginning, so that we make it clear to the people and to the audience here that we are, as St. Augustine University of Tanzania, we have a center here in Dar es Salaam, and it is basically for postgraduate programs. That was the first message that I wanted to express here today. Thank you very much. Now, if I go to the task that I've been given by the MC, I would like to take this moment to thank each and every one of you who have spared the time to come and spend the time with us to officiate this launch. As we have heard that it was first launched in Mwanza, now it has been taken place here in Dar es Salaam. We would like to thank the Vice Chancellor for giving us the chance to host the second launch of this book here in Dar es Salaam. Also to thank the High Table, especially the Lordship, Stephen Musomba, the Auxiliary Bishop, who is representing the guest of honor, His Lordship Yuda Tadeus Ruwaichi. We thank you very much for coming and spend some time with us here in the book launch. Well, I would like also to thank the author and the other guests, who has presented some speech here. We would like to appreciate your time, and we understand that it was a weekend. Some of you would like to have some moment with your family or some other activities, but spending some time here with us, we really have to appreciate it. Thank you very much. And also, I would like to thank each and one of you. We made some of the invitation to quite a number of organizations, institutions, but most of them have said that they have some other activities. For the few of you who have made it to come, we really appreciate your time to come and spend with us. So thank you very much, and I wish you a very good evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Mbongo, for your remarks. Before we close the ceremony, we are going to move to the session of photo session. I would like our photographers to start with the high table first before I invite the first group. So I would like to invite the high table to stand, hold the book, each one of you to hold the book, and we do our first photo session. Then next, I would like to welcome all the professors who are in this. We are supporting our fellow professors. Karibu, karibu all. Okay, the next will be our friends from Malawi. Our friends from Malawi. Okay, I would like to welcome the team from Dar es Salaam Center, Dar es Salaam and Vikindu, to come for photo session.
You're also part of us.
Yes. Karibu. Thank you so much. Now we're coming to the end of the ceremony. You can have a seat.
What about the rest? There are very few, they can come.
Okay, sorry, I'm sorry. Thank you so much for the reminder. Welcome. I would like to welcome our invited guests. We come in session, so we'll start with the left side. So at least six of us so that we all appear now. This is our memorable photos. We can have some stand up chini hapa. Okay. Okay, next, our visitors. I think you can stand. Just stand. Simama hapa itakuwa okay. Next, on our right hand, on my right hand corner, karibuni, karibuni. There's more space. There's more space on the other side. Samani, sogea kidogo. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. Okay, I would like to invite your Lordship, Stephen Msonga, to do a closing prayer for us. Let us all stand.
Kwa jina la Baba na la Mwana na Mtakatifu, Mungu wa mbinguni, tunakushukuru kwa kuwa nasi katika yote tuliyofanya hapa. Naomba uendelee kutulinda na kutupa afya njema, tuweze kuyatekeleza yale yanayotupasa katika maisha yetu kama watoto wako. Tunaomba haya kwa jina la Kristo Bwana wetu. Bwana awe nanyi, awabariki Mungu Mwenyezi, Baba na Mwana na Roho Mtakatifu. Msifu Yesu Kristo.
Thank you so much. I would like to invite the high table to have an exit, and then the rest we shall follow.